Xbox just dropped an update that we've been waiting on for 4 years. Xbox is the only one in the industry doing this. What is up, y'all? I'm Ray, and this is my channel, Xbox Ready, where we get on and we talk about Xbox stuff. The latest news, rumors, games, accessories, pretty much anything I want to talk about as long as it's about Xbox in some way. And in today's video, we're going to talk about an Xbox update we've been waiting on since 2020, an underrated Xbox feature that needs to be talked about more, how Sony's next acquisition could have dire consequences for Xbox fans, and some great news regarding Xbox's biggest first-party releases of 2025. But first, a quick word from our sponsors. This video is brought to you by Mando. Mando is a high-performance whole-body deodorant that you can use anywhere on your body, and I mean anywhere. Mando was created by a doctor who noticed that something was off when it comes to diagnosing and treating BO. It's clinically proven to control odor better than if you just relied on your body wash. Because whereas many other deodorants try to mask the BO by just using fragrances to cover it up, Mando uses mandelic acid in order to kill the odor before it even starts. You can choose from 4 different scents: leather bourbon, Mount Fuji, Pro Sport, Clover Woods, and they also have an unscented option. I appreciate the whole body approach that Mando has going on with their products. Mando has helped me out immensely when it comes to mitigating the post-workout stank that my basketball shorts and my compression shorts tend to get. And most importantly, it does pass the wife test. My wife Haley especially likes the Clover Woods cream that they sent me. For a limited time, Mando has a variety of holiday bundles available on their website, so it's a perfect time to stock up on Mando products. Mando's holiday bundles are a great deal for new and returning customers. And just for my followers, Mando is offering an extra $5 off plus free US shipping on orders over $30 when you use the link below in the description and enter the code XboxReady at checkout. Thanks again to Mando for sponsoring this video. I talked about this in a previous video, but recently Xbox raised a lot of eyebrows with this new ad campaign that they got going on. This is an Xbox. I kind of turned into a console purist for a hot sec when I saw that, but hey, that's the direction that Xbox is going in, and no guy with a YouTube channel and a camera is gonna stop them. The crux of this ad campaign, well, it shows Xbox and Microsoft's confidence in cloud gaming. Maybe not as it is right now, but what it could be. The only problem is that Xbox Cloud Gaming has been in beta ever since it quote-unquote launched. One of the longest betas that I've ever seen in gaming. The team at Microsoft has been putting in the work to improve the cloud gaming experience, and in a video that I did just last week, I was pretty impressed with the overall stability and loading times compared to when I first tried cloud gaming a couple years ago. It's been slow partly because Xbox realized that, this whole cloud gaming thing, it's gonna be a lot harder than we thought it was. It turns out it takes an immense amount of resources to store all these games or make sure they're ready to be played through the cloud, storing everyone's data. But despite all of the work, time, and money that they've put in cloud gaming over the past 4 years, there's been this one feature that they're constantly saying is coming out, it's coming out, it's coming out, but they just never got around to adding it. It was supposed to come out in 2020. It was supposed to come out in 2022. And now, today, it is finally out. I'm referring to the ability to stream games that you own through Xbox Cloud Gaming. It always seemed weird to me because I remember when Google Stadia was still around, it operated in much the same way. Like they had a library of games to where if you were subscribed, you can play them, but you could also buy games through Stadia and stream them that way. So it was always funny to me that Xbox, who is supposed to be this pioneer in terms of cloud gaming, one of the industry leaders, couldn't have the same features as a service that is now dead. And sure enough, I pulled up xbox.com/play on my browser, and in the jump back in section, it had games that previously I couldn't access. Games like Cyberpunk, Space Marine 2, and The Witcher 3. Now, I should clarify that not every game that you can buy through the Microsoft Store is going to be supported through Xbox Cloud Gaming. Right now, the list is 50 games. One of the big gripes I had about this is an Xbox ad campaign was like, well, I can't even access all of my Xbox games through my phone or my iPad or my laptop if I were to stream them. This is a Game Pass machine, not an Xbox. And now that I have more options and they're full game tiles, they don't have the little Game Pass icon in the corner, it makes the whole thing feel a lot more legit, especially with all of the other updates that they've added over the past couple of years, like like your socials. Whoa, now I can play Cyberpunk through Xbox Cloud Gaming. Let's give it a try. And in the video I did just a week or two ago, where I was playing Call of Duty Black Ops 6 on the Amazon Fire Stick with different internet connections, we hear all this stuff about lower bitrate, lower frame rate, lower resolution, but in my experience, I was like, this looks pretty good. I was surprised. If someone was to see this footage in passing, I feel like they'd be like, yeah, that looks pretty good. That looks like a console or PC. When I went to stream Cyberpunk, though, I was like, oh, okay, there's like a noticeable difference in the visual quality than what I'm used to playing this game on my Series X. I found the same thing with Space Marine 2. It's cool that I could stream it through the cloud. I didn't actually do any like shooting. I was just walking around the mission hub area that they have. I was like, ooh, okay, yeah, this looks noticeably worse, especially with the textures. I don't know if it's because streaming those titles, it's so new to Xbox, or if those games just aren't as optimized as Black Ops 6, or if it was my monitor, my HDR settings, whatever. But if you're using the cloud to stream these games anyway, chances are you're not expecting top tier visuals. You're in it more for the flexibility of it all. Hopefully they add more games to the list of 50 that are currently supported as time goes on, but it seems that they're gearing up for an interesting arms race that's about to happen in the cloud gaming space. I saw today on the PlayStation side, they added cloud streaming support to the PlayStation Portal. No longer will you have to use remote play only. So I'm like, okay, it seems that Xbox is not the only company with their eyes on the cloud gaming prize. Interesting. But what if I told you Xbox still has a secret weapon, one that I feel like just does not get talked about enough? There's been a lot of critics when it comes to Xbox's ecosystem approach. Oh, we're not just console, we're also PC, we're also cloud gaming. But by spreading their identities across multiple platforms, not PlayStation, not Switch, I'm talking console and PC, they're able to do something really cool, something that no other platform holder in the industry is doing. I'm talking about Xbox Play Anywhere. And this is top of mind for me because I saw on Reset Era that a couple of members of the community compiled a master list of all games that are quote-unquote Xbox Play Anywhere. And it's a pretty damn impressive list. And if you're sitting there thinking, Ray, what are you talking about? I don't know about this. If a game is Xbox Play Anywhere eligible, it means that you can buy one copy of the game and get both the Xbox and PC versions. That is right, you buy the game once and you get 2 copies of it. Not every game supports it, but when it does, it is awesome. Back in 2022, before Chivalry 2 was on Game Pass, I bought it, and I noticed very quickly that there were certain things that PC players could do that I could not do on console or my controller. I really wanted to try it on PC, and when I went to go buy it through the Xbox store, I realized it was an Xbox Play Anywhere title. I can download it on my PC for no extra charge, and that became the default way that I played the game. If you own a PlayStation and you are playing the 2018 version of Spider-Man and you want to check out the PC version for whatever reason, you're out of luck. You got to buy the game again. And while sure, I get it, Microsoft, big corporation, bad, problematic, but they are the only platform holder that will literally give you games for free, that encourage you to play games on other devices. And in that specific area, that is about as consumer friendly as you can get. The only catch is that you have to play the game through the Xbox PC app. Not a lot of people like to do that for a lot of reasons. You can even take it a step further. You can buy one copy of the game and play it on multiple Xboxes, depending on how you set your home console. My buddy Kenny, he loves Age of Empires, and one of our favorite pastimes is hanging out and playing Age of Empires together. I'm talking old school in the same room. And with Xbox, they make it super easy. I have a Series X and I have a Series S. One of them is my home console, and then I sign into my profile or janitor on the other one. That gives us access to 2 copies of Age of Empires and we could play. So while, yeah, there are some things that I don't always agree with this like holistic ecosystem approach that Xbox has going on for themselves lately, there's also been a lot of cool stuff to come out of it. But you know what's potentially not cool is Sony potentially acquiring the parent company of From Software. A couple of days ago, rumors broke that Sony sent a letter of intent in terms of wanting to buy them out, and Kadokawa, the publisher, was like, yes, we can confirm that we got the letter. We are considering the offer and nothing is concrete yet, but if both sides agree to a deal, they could assimilate into Sony in as little as like the next couple of weeks, by the end of the year. I have my thoughts on this, but I will acknowledge that I was excited for Microsoft acquiring Activision Blizzard. Sorry. And I can already see people being like, oh, so you wanted Microsoft to acquire Activision Blizzard, but you don't want Sony to acquire freaking Kadokawa. I just have a lot of questions because, well, it's obvious that Sony over the past year or two has been downsizing its own internal studios. They've fired people from Insomniac, Naughty Dog. They've closed down multiple studios. Sony, given their struggles, it just seems weird that they would downsize their own teams, say that they have no original IP to work with, but then be like, okay, let's go buy more studios. The Naughty Dog staff have been very vocal about like, we're shorthanded. That's why we had to cancel the multiplayer project. I don't see why Sony can't just take the money that they're using for mergers and acquisitions and funnel it back into, I don't know, funding their studios. I'm also kind of concerned about how Sony would handle franchises like Dark Souls or Elden Ring in terms of their exclusivity. Say what you want about Microsoft, Xbox. When they make an acquisition, like 80 to 90% of the time, the games stay multi-platform, and it seems like every one of their games is going to be multi-platform going forward. When they bought Mojang, they didn't pull Minecraft from PlayStation or Nintendo consoles. When they bought Bethesda, they honored the deals for Deathloop and Ghostwire Tokyo. When they bought Activision Blizzard, Call of Duty, and all of the other games are still multi-platform. Whereas Sony, they're kind of all about exclusive games and locking stuff to their own console and ecosystem. And yes, I know they bought Bungie and they kept everything with Destiny multi-plat, sure. But they don't even own Square Enix, and they're constantly fighting to keep Final Fantasy games exclusive to PlayStation. I don't know if that would happen to the From Software franchises. Actually, just recently, Kadokawa said that their intention was to push more into PC and console publishing. Doesn't sound like the kind of company that want to lock their games to a single platform. Also, with the terms of this deal, it seems that Sony wouldn't own From Software outright. They would just have a controlling share. Elden Ring is one of my favorite games I've played on Xbox this entire generation, and I'm sure a lot of other people feel that way too. If this acquisition goes through, and again, that's if, I'm personally just hoping that it doesn't mess up anything for fans. But even if by some insane twist of fate, Xbox players aren't able to play Elden Ring 2 or whatever, we got some really exciting Xbox first-party stuff to look forward to in 2025. One of the games I'm most excited for is hands down Fable. The original Fable, when I played it as a kid, it was one of those games that it like altered my brain chemistry. It got me hooked onto RPGs, into fantasy stuff, well, between Fable and then watching the Lord of the Rings trilogy. I don't think it's too extreme to say that the original Fable, that shaped me as a person. What we've seen of the game so far looks pretty damn impressive. There are some question marks, obviously, because it's made by Playground Games and not Lionhead, because they don't exist anymore. And obviously, Playground Games, they make car games, not fantasy RPGs. But according to Jess Corden, we don't have anything to worry about on that front because he saw some footage of Fable. He doesn't know if it's pre-alpha or what build it is, but he says it looks fantastic. He says you can tell that this game has CD Projekt Red DNA. So Playground Games, they picked up a bunch of developers from CD Projekt Red, and I believe they picked up the combat designer. And you can tell. I'm not saying it's 100% with The Witcher because it's not, but you can kind of tell that the melee combat, the pirouettes and the dodging and the dodge rolling and the seamless hack and slash and into execution, which looks really, really cool, all that stuff is there. It looks super polished, super good, and if this was an early gameplay, then it probably looks even better now. As a huge Fable fan, that is music to my ears. It's cool that it has shades of Witcher, and it doesn't really like move me to say that, oh, this has Witcher-like combat, because I go back to play The Witcher now and I'm like, this combat is kind of showing its age. He does mention it's not a one-to-one, so I'm hoping that they have updated it and made it a little bit more modern. I mean, shoot, like freaking The Witcher 3 is 10 years old next year. I'll be very sad if they come out and they're like, there's a PlayStation version of this. Only because I just have such fond memories of Fable on the OG Xbox, literally sneaking into my older brother's room to play it because I wasn't allowed to play rated M games. It might have a tough time though, depending on when Grand Theft Auto 6 comes out. And it's not just Fable coming out in 2025. Compulsion Games South of Midnight is also set to release that year. And I saw that people, they didn't get to preview it, but some people like Paris Lilly, aka Vicious, he went to Compulsion Games, the studio, and they They saw some gameplay footage, they saw like a documentary, they got to talk to the team. And while I don't know if this game is gonna be like a breakout, crazy blockbuster hit, there's a lot of things I find interesting about it. One of the main things we've been hearing about this game from Compulsion is that they wanted to make this game about the South and, you know, more of like a love letter to the South. Media depictions of the South are oftentimes not very kind. Oh, everyone in the South is racist. Everyone is a hillbilly or dirty. It's like, yeah, I understand. Like, I grew up in Texas, and when I tell people that I'm from Texas, they're like, oh, so you wear a cowboy hat all the time and ride a horse to school? I'm like, no, I grew up in like a regular neighborhood. So I think that aspect is cool, and already in this footage, I feel like it has a lot of character in terms of the environment, the music, the performances. We've been seeing a lot of games recently that have been drawing from interesting folklore, like Dungeons of Hinterberg. In terms of the gameplay, the platforming, the combat, I think it looks cool. It's not like getting me like, oh my gosh, I need to really play this game. But on the other end, I don't think it's meant to be that. Not every first-party Xbox game needs to be on the same level of Black Ops 6 in terms of hype. Some of my favorite Xbox and Game Pass games are the smaller stuff, the AA games, stuff like Pentiment and Planet of Lana. I think South of Midnight, personally for me, is gonna be more in that lane. Hopefully Fable isn't a complete flop. It doesn't sound like it's gonna be, because then that's really gonna put pressure on South of Midnight to perform. Anyways, guys, that's all the Xbox stuff we have to talk about today. Thanks so much for joining me for another edition of Xbox Ready. If you made it this far into the video, consider subscribing. Help me on my journey to 200,000 subs. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.